Hi, my name is Kyle Imhoff. I am the Pennsylvania State climatologist, and I am going to be looking at the full data archive for some of our weather stations that we have installed across the state, of which some of them may be at school districts or at your locations that you may be interested in looking at. So under the data tab of our state climate office website, which I am at right now, you can see the URL at the top. Under the data tab, there is this data archive button right at the top of this page. And there you can access our network selection for this. I'll be interested in our environmental monitoring network, which is the PEMN for short. And if you click on that, you will see a list of stations that pops up. And you can see the period of record, which is when the sites were installed through the time I'm recording this, at least on May 21st of 2024. So this is the full archive access for any station you're interested in. So just for example, I'll take a look at Cherry Springs State Park, which is in Potter County, and it'll show you a page with current conditions. And down at the bottom is a selection for any data that you may want for any date range that you would like. So I'll just, for an example here, I'll punch in January 1st, 2024 through January 31st of this year, the month's worth of data. And I will show you, I'm just going to go ahead and select all the variables right now. And you can change the output file type. I'm going to show the web page form, but know that you can change this to CSV if you want to download the data and pop it up in an Excel spreadsheet, or manipulate the data using some other programming language or writing some code to process data. So that option is available, and it will download when you click the submit button. But I'll keep it on web page and click submit. You also have the ability to include the metadata, which is basically this information at the top of the latitude, longitude, elevation, the exact locations, the start and end dates. So I'll keep that in there for submission. So when you click submit, you can see the metadata that does pop up there at the top, and then you get a large table of all the information from the station itself. So if I scroll down through, you can see that is exactly what's popping up here, is all of the data that's available from the station. So that is a nice way to visualize any time period that you may be interested in. You can see that this does get very chunky as it's loading here. It's a very large table or data set depending on how much data you select. So like I said, I selected all variables in this case. So so it'd be a pretty large file that you download, or a large table that shows up on the website. I'm going to go back here just for a minute, and we can change the variable list just to give you a sense of what this looks like if you pare down the data just a bit. And you can see that my browser is still loading the table, so it's having a hard time loading the back arrow here. But let's give it a second here to load. Okay, so instead of choosing every single variable, I'm going to turn the select all off. Now you do have to select date and time. Make sure you select, that's why it says here, you have to have a date and time. And we're just going to choose air temperature and dew point. Well, let's just take a look at that, a little bit smaller data set. So now you can see it's a little more manageable with a much smaller table. So you don't have to select all the variables, and you can get a table that looks like this. Now, keep in mind, this data is every minute. So you will get every 1 minute of data when you download this. So it's a great way to access very high temporal resolution data. Okay, so that shows you how to use our data archive. Keep in mind, there are other networks that are available other than PEMN, so you are free to play around with some of these other networks, but I suspect that most of you will be interested in our PEMN data, so I wanted to show you that as an example. Thank you for watching.